Hey everyone, welcome to Junior Pro Talk, the very first podcast. We're just going to run through everyone that we have here today. So here we have Will Raper.
What's going on, guys?
Just go ahead and talk a
So,
little bit about yourself, Will.
my name is Will Raper. I'm from Decula, Georgia. I currently work at Archery Learning Center. We teach JOAD classes on every Saturday. About 120 kids come through and in and out. We let them rent the bows. It's just like your everyday JOAD class, just like some of us started in JOAD and got to where we are now. I'm also the team leader of the Hornets from Archery Learning Center. Basically, what I do at the shop is I teach private lessons. I teach the JOAD classes themselves, helping our main instructor. Also tune bows and make my custom strings. If any of you out there need some strings, you know who to call. Um, I've been shooting for almost 3 years now. I have last year I won JOAD National Indoor Championship. I've won a bunch of state championships. I haven't yet got to the 3D aspect of archery. I'm working on getting there. Everybody's wanting me to come to the Classic. I'm going to see if I can make it. I shoot a Hoyt, as you can tell. I shoot a Pro Comp XL, of course, Excel sights, always True Ball releases, Pro Tuner, Rest, and B Stinger stabilizers, and of course, the ultimate, awesome Easton arrows. Um,
All right, that's good, Will. That's good. All right, so next
Thank
we
you,
have
Will.
Emily B.
Hi, I'm Emily B, and right now I'm currently in between teams, kind of. I just graduated from Heartland High School, and I shoot NASP, and I have my last tournament coming up. And coming up in the fall, also, I will be shooting on the Michigan State team. So right now I shoot NASP archery and collegiate archery soon, and I shoot all the USAT events. Not yet into field and 3D, but we're going to try it out and we'll be at Nationals in South Dakota this year. I shoot a Hoyt Pro Comp and Easton Arrows, of course. And that's about it.
All right, next we got Jonathan Clark.
What's up, guys? This is Jonathan Clark. I am the marketing and media and staff director for Last Chance Archery. We build bow presses, we build bow vices, we build many different things that you use today to work on all of your equipment. And as of right now, I have been shooting since 2007, so right at 8 years. I began in 3D. I was shooting right-handed, and I always shot right-handed, but I had a turn in 2011, and I'm actually left-handed and left-eye dominant, so I swapped to left-handed. And I started increasing from there. It took about a year to get used to it, but after that, I shoot 3D. I am the one in the group that shoots 3D, and I shoot a Matthews. So I'm about the only one in the group that shoots Matthews. I shoot Carbon Express arrows. I shoot a Hamsky Rest. I shoot Shrewd stabilizers. And and since I swapped to left-handed, I had a couple of top 3 finishes in ASA and 3D. I'd had a couple state championships, but after I swapped to left-handed, I won my first national championship in 2012. I won the ASA in Texas, got the Big Texas belt buckle. That was a lot of fun. I won the Illinois ASA that same year, and since then I've won one ASA Shooter of the Year championship. I came in second last year, but I won the ASA World event in Alabama. And I had 2 first-place finishes last year, and that was all in the young adult class, and I have moved since then into the Open A class, and I'm trying to work my way up through the ranks and end up in the pro class eventually, hopefully. Slowly but surely, it seems to be getting there. But that's about it. I shoot 3D, I shoot indoor, I shoot Vegas, indoor nationals, several other smaller events. I shoot several of the USAT qualifiers. I enjoy FIDA, but it's something, 3D is my main game, but I do enjoy shooting FIDA, getting out there shooting some yellow every so often instead of foam. But
All right.
that's about it.
That's good. All right, next we have Roy. Give us your quick little bio real quick.
All right, hey guys, thanks Jonathan. I'm repping the Last Chance Archery shirt here. Basically about me, I'm 16. I'm from northern Wisconsin. I've been shooting for about 6 years, but just this last year, I've been starting to travel more with my archery. A lot of top 10 finishes this year. Only one major win though. 2 years ago, I finished first place at the Iowa Pro-Am, so that's pretty much my only major win, but I'm getting up there. I'm shooting a Hoyt Pro Comp Elite XL. Definitely, I got the Raper XXX strings on there. B-Stinger stabilizers, True Ball release, HT Pro Bass 3, which is the best release True Ball's ever made. XL sights and Easton arrows. So that's a lot about me, and I'm really excited on hopefully it gets going here.
That's sweet. All right, and I'm Chris B, your host for tonight, and I've been shooting pretty much since I could pull the bow back, and I've been shooting tournaments probably for about 5 years now. Mainly focusing on the target side of things, but like Emily said, this year we're going to South Dakota for the field national, so that should be a lot of fun. I shoot the Hoyt Pro Comp with Fuse Blaze, AAE Rest, and XL sights. I shoot the True Ball HT and Easton arrows. And yeah, I've been traveling around shooting a lot of tournaments the past couple of years, so it's been tons of fun. All right, so first things first, we're just going to talk a little bit about what Junior Pros is. So basically, we're just going to have a conversation. We're just going to hit major topics. We're going to just have a good conversation. All right, so if anyone else doesn't have anything to say, we're going to talk about SoCal Showdown that happened just this past weekend, and just what everyone has been doing preparing for that, or what everyone did preparing for that, shooting, diet, exercise, anything like that. So anyone have anything?
Shooting wise, my training, I shot about 30 to 50 arrows if I could each day at blind bell, just to get my shot rolling back and forth to make sure everything feels good. The shots are strong, they're going off real good, holding steady. And then I worked my way out to 50 meters. When I got there, I'd shoot 1 to 2 games, try to each day if time would allow. And also with the physical training part, make sure for endurance-wise, I was running at least a mile a day. But weight training-wise, it was just a daily routine as to mainly back strength and shoulder strength for endurance, for holding the bow up while you're shooting.
Yeah, and Will's definitely our muscle guy of the group.
Yeah, big Willie Raper.
He's currently in the bulking phase of your working.
Always in the bulking phase.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good.
Like Will said, before I ever shoot any for score, I always do some blank bailing before. So, just that's a good thing to do, you know.
Yeah, that's always good to get your form good and make sure you're doing everything right.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of you, but as a 3D shooter going out to a FIDA tournament, it's always totally different because you're going from shooting in the woods and you're shooting a total of 20 arrows, and that's in a total of like 4 hours. We'll shoot 20 arrows. Then you go to a FIDA tournament and you're shooting 72 arrows within 2 hours. It's totally different. You're always in a FIDA tournament. You're always out in the open, and that's where I have my issues is there's always wind.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that practicing here at home, I'm from Georgia, Will's from Georgia, but there's not a lot of wind here, and there's a lot of trees to block the wind. So when I'm practicing for FIDA, I always have the issue I have and need to try and fix is practicing in the wind. Because when you don't have wind, it's easier to shoot a higher score. And I've been shooting really high scores without wind, but I don't know about the rest of you, but the wind is a major factor, especially when your sight starts moving, your muscles start tightening up, and you can't make your release fire. So that, for me, is something that I gained from SoCal, is trying to figure out a way to shoot through the wind, to shoot through the sight movement, not letting the pin pretty much control my release, which is what happened. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing between now and Outdoor Nationals, is working on my sight picture and making my release fire and stay smooth. And like Roy and Will said, blind bail is a great way to make that work. Get up to 5 yards. Don't shoot at a target. Close your eyes if you have to. Just make it roll. Make it smooth. Work on your form. Make sure everything's relaxed, your shoulder tops. And that'll go a long way to help in making your release fire quicker.
Yeah, make sure everything's clicking and whatnot. What else about SoCal? Shooting out in SoCal was definitely different. Yeah, the wind. In Georgia and Wisconsin, we don't have much wind up here, but the wind out there was like pulsing, and it was hard to shoot in. So, yeah, that's going to be something I'm going to put in my practice for Outdoor Nationals.
So, Chris, for you right now, you're sitting pretty good in the USAT standings. What is it you're going to be working on heading into Outdoor Nationals? What is it you found out during SoCal? Is there anything that you are going to work on specifically?
Looks like we lost Chris there for a second. And Emily.
I think we lost Chris for a second, but I'm sure
Looks
he'll be
like
back.
He's back.
Will, Chris, are you back? No, Will, what are you going to be working on?
What I'll be working on for Nationals is basically the same thing I did for Gator Cup and for SoCal. Is definitely shooting the 50 meters, but also training on blind bail. And I got a very major surprise when I was at SoCal, because, like you said, we're not used to shooting in the wind here in Georgia, and it really took a toll on my score and on my mental game, because I knew I wasn't used to it, and when it hit, it was in big gusts, and it was never steady. There were some points of the game where it was steady, but at those points that it wasn't steady, it was very hard to maintain my good form when I'm sitting up here thinking in my head, I've never shot in this, how do I get through it? So what I did was I basically just shot stronger shots. I pulled through my bow just a little bit harder to make sure I was relaxed, and kept it moving the whole time just to make sure I could get my shots going off good.
Well, that is something I'm definitely going to be working on. Pretty much the same stuff. Is, like you say, the wind was coming in gusts, so it was hard to dictate when that gust was going to come, and it just always seemed that it was coming right at the moment my release wanted to fire. And, of course, there's some stuff out there you can't control, but then there's a lot of stuff you can. And as of right now, I'm not sure, since Chris is gone, if we're actually airing live because he's got the computer. But
yeah, it looks like he's back, though.
Chris, can you hear us?
If you can hear us, sorry for the technical difficulties. We will be back in a moment.
Yeah. But let's keep talking here. Something funny that happened while we were at SoCal was Bo Junkie interviewed me right before June started shooting, and I was so focused on shooting that in that national, the Outdoor Nationals mode, that I'm sitting here thinking we're going to be shooting 144 arrows when we're really not. So I was like, I told him, he's like, so, Will, how many arrows are you shooting today? And I was like, well, we're shooting 144 like it was nothing. I just told him like that, how it came. And I didn't even realize it until after it was over. And I was like, oh, my goodness, how can I change that? And he was like, oh, there's no fixing it. And I was like, well, that's great. So that was one funny thing that happened while we were in SoCal. So did any of y'all have any other things that were funny while you were at SoCal happen to you?
Well, I can't think of anything right off, but I was sitting there when Bo Junkie interviewed you, and honestly, I didn't even realize you said 144 arrows. But after you said it, it was kind of funny because
After I realized it, I was like,
when you get to rolling and you're talking, you never really realize exactly what you say until after the fact, and then you go, "Oh man, I
Yep.
just said that. Whoops!"
and then you're like,
But it's always
what?
kind of
And
funny.
then you start thinking of all these things that you could have said and couldn't. So guys,
Yeah.
when you're out there and you're getting interviewed, you don't have to lock up. You just talk freely. And sometimes it's hard to do, but other times, just speak freely, like you would talking to anybody else when you're getting interviewed, if it
Yeah.
ever happens to you. And with the Junior Pro Talk, it might, so be ready.
Yep, definitely. And I just got a text from Chris, and supposedly we are still rolling live. And he
Yep.
said just keep
All
on
right.
going. But as of right now, I think the one thing we all share in common, I believe we all shoot at cell sites. We all shoot true ball releases. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
That is one cool thing. If you need a site, if you need a release, true ball at cell, you're not going to beat them. They're easy to use, easy to set up. It's the perfect combination. You won't beat it out there anywhere.
So Chris,
And I'm
can you
sure-
hear
Oh,
us
yeah.
yet?
It's Chris back.
Looks like we're still missing him. So let's
Looks like we're
move,
submitted.
yeah.
Let's move on.
let's move on to the 3D aspect of the juniors in archery. So Jonathan, tell us a little bit about 3D, what you do, what it's all about, how it's scored, and basically what all you do to have fun out there while you're shooting. And I know it's only 20 arrows, but how do you make that fun and entertaining while you're out
How
there?
do you make it interesting?
Just
Well, it's
what I want to know. I want to know if size matters at distance.
well,
Does
yes,
that matter?
it does. Yes,
Wait,
it does.
does the size of the target matter at distance?
It
Is
does
what he's
matter.
meaning to say.
Yeah.
So I'll just start.
Yeah.
I'll just give you kind of an overview. When you get to a 3D tournament, you'll sign up, and there's always a team shoot on Friday. And what they'll do, they've got about 5 different ranges set up with 20 targets on each, and there's usually about 5 people per target. Now on the team tournament, you'll have, like I said, 5 people per target, and you'll have different teams on the same range, and you'll all be against each other. And then the top teams will win $100, the next teams will win $80, and so on and so forth for each range. And each range will be separate. But depending on what class you're in, like I'm shooting Open A is all unknown yardage, and it's a maximum of 45 yards. You can shoot, depending on your age, like this is the junior age, young adult would be half unknown and half known. It totally just depends on what class. They have all known classes. And like you say, there's 20 targets, 20 arrows. And pretty much what you do to make it interesting, because there is a lot of downtime, because it'll usually take you 3.5 to 4 hours to shoot your round. You'll have 5 to 6 people per target, and you'll be in a rotation. So you'll go up and shoot your arrow if you're first, then the next person, and so on and so forth. And then you'll all rotate, and you'll go last on the next target, and you'll just keep rotating until you get through all 20 targets. They'll be at different distances, so yes, the size does matter of the target, especially
tell
if
me.
you're judging.
When you are judging, exactly is my question. How do you prepare to know or prepare for judging distances? How do you practice that?
It's not very hard. It's just you have to get used to it. Like when I judge, I'll usually spend 45 minutes to an hour a day. I would love to spend more, but to get shooting and judging in, you have to manage your time pretty well. I'll go out, I'll judge trees. I have certain 3D targets set up that I'll judge, and you just go out and you judge them. And when I say judge them, you'll look at it, you'll picture it, and try to figure out exactly what the distance is to where you can put the right yardage on it and make a good shot in either. And that kind of goes into the scoring system of 3D. You have a 10 ring, and it's hard to picture this with me saying it, but you have a 10, then you have a 12 in the bottom of the 10, then you have an 8 ring, and then the rest of the target's a 5. Now the 12's always the same size. It's going to be about the size of a quarter. So if you imagine, if you are judging the target, if you miss it by a yard, you're most of the time going to go that far under the 12. So depending on what class you're in, if you're in unknown, you want to be spot on as you can, because usually you have to hit at least half of the 12s to win the tournament. Hey, we have Chris
All
back.
right, and
I
it
think
does
we
look
got
like we have
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris.
Chris, can you hear us?
Oh my gosh, finally.
But anyway,
All right, so-
as far as 3D, so what I'll do, I'll go out, I'll judge trees, targets, and I will just sit there and I'll walk around for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll look at it, and then I'll click it with the rangefinder and see how close I came in the guess as far as what I judged it. And you just keep doing that over and over again. I'll usually spend 45 minutes to an hour judging, and then I'll shoot for another hour to an hour and a half. I try to get 100 shots in a day, and it totally just depends on how much time I have. And, as most of you are learning, when you get a full-time job, it gets harder and harder to shoot and manage. But if you manage your time, you can get everything in that you have to get in. But as far as 3D, that's about it.
That is good for all the other juniors out there. I know you're all getting jobs and everything, and you really need to manage your time because if you want to be successful in archery, you really have to put it into practice and get the arrows through your bow. So
yeah, definitely. It takes time, it takes practice, and you have to have dedication to it. I mean, it doesn't take a load of time, but it takes enough that you have to keep it consistent. I mean, 30 to 40 shots a day is all you have to keep it smooth and keep it rolling good. But
as long as you can keep that in your muscle memory, you'll be set. As long as you can keep it rolling and it feels the same every day, then you know you're doing it.
Definitely. And one thing in 3D that I didn't describe is there's seven tournaments a year. And Shooter of the Year in all of the amateur classes is based off of your 4 top tournaments. So right now, the Shooter of the Year is kind of the big thing of the year in the 3D is you take your top 4 scores, you add them together, whoever has the most in your class is the Shooter of the Year. Right now, one of the juniors, David Hauser, he has won every ASA in young adult this year. I was going to give a shout out to him because he is doing great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Bucky Hauser, yes sir.
Yeah,
he's doing
Bucky Hauser.
Not only is he doing awesome, but he's been doing pretty crazy in target too.
Yeah, he's been doing really well.
Yeah, he's tearing it
He's
up
been doing well all year.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty crazy.
But as far as 3D, that's about it. It's a lot of time and very few arrows. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I enjoy it because you always, in between arrows, you've always got a group of guys that you're with, and then you've got the whole range that you can talk to as you walk by. You become friends with all of them, especially in the junior class and young adult. There's a core group of guys. There were when I was in there were 15 to 20 of us, and you get to know all of them. You all become good friends, and it's just always a blast shooting.
All right, well, that's awesome. So we just reached our 23-minute mark, and I think that's all for today, guys. So there you have it,
right.
Junior Pro Talk, very first podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
All right.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Peace out.
See you next
See ya.
time.
See ya.